All right. So tonight we're going to do two chapters, chapter 110 and 111. Sometimes the chapters are small so we can accomplish more. The segula for chapter 110 is that one's enemies should make peace with him. You don't want to fight, you don't want to do battle if you can avoid it. So if any effort succeeds in some sort of compromise, it's always the ideal situation. So this small chapter 110 is a powerful chapter to bring about peace with one's former enemy. In the first pasuk, there are various opinions as to who David HaMelech is describing. לדוד מזמור נאום אדוני לאדוני שב לימיני עד אשית אויביך אדום לרגליך. As you will see in this chapter, in the following chapter, there are various pesukim that without commentaries it's really difficult to understand, because even though that the words may be easy, the translation not too difficult, the context, what exactly is going on, is sometimes very, very vague, not so clear. But let's first translate the words. So this psalm is by David. Neum Hashem. Hashem said to my master, Shev li mini, sit at my right. Ad ashit oivecha hadom leraglecha, until I make your enemies a stool for your feet. So even from the very first pasuk, you can tell that this has something to do with defeating the enemy. So it fits in very well with making peace. But who is he talking about? What enemy? What does it mean to sit on the right? So one opinion is that David HaMelech composed this psalm because of the kindness that Hashem did with Abraham, with Abraham, when he ran after the kings. As the Torah describes, that Abraham had a major battle with various kings, and he defeated them. And in the Gemara, in the Midrash, there's a very interesting account of what exactly went on. How, after all, was he able to defeat powerful kings? So Shem, the son of Noach, actually asked Eliezer, the servant, how did you do it? And he says, we just picked up dirt from the ground and threw it, and that dirt transformed into spears. We threw kash, we threw hay, chaff, and that chaff transformed into arrows. It was a miracle. Everything is possible. So that entire battle was a very miraculous battle, which was won by Abraham Avinu. So the fact that Abraham Avinu was able to do so in such a miraculous way was an act of chesed, an act of kindness, which David HaMelech describes. And you will see that a lot of what he says, as he's done so in the past, is to remind the Jewish people in future generations, especially those that are struggling, going through hard times, Hashem will always be there for you. And you will experience miracles too. Miracles is not just something from the past. People experience them every day. Not everybody pays attention to his personal miracles. Obviously, you're not going to see the Red Sea splitting. But if you observe closely, analyze your life, the life of others, analyze the entire history of the Jewish people, you will see countless miracles. But what about the sitting next to my right? As we've said in the past, the Yamin of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Yamin of Hashem, represents Sanegoria al Israel. It is a defense. It is chesed. It is a defense over the Jewish people when they're being judged. So when they're being judged, he sits someone on his right-hand side. Who's that someone? He says, Ladoni shev limini. The rabbis tell us that this refers to our avot, our forefathers. When he puts them next to him as he's about to judge, he reminds himself, not that he needs a reminder, but in a sense that this is part of the way he does justice. He takes into account, he considers their deeds, their merits in our favor. So sit on my right as I'm about to judge the Jewish people. Ad ashit oivecha adom leraglecha, until I make your enemies a stool for your feet. So in here, there is a promise that at some point in the future, this is what will happen. That is why there is a second opinion that this is talking about the end of days. not just about Avraham Avinu. But there's always a connection between the past and the present, between the past and the future. History repeats itself. The merits of the past will help us for the future. So there's sometimes a combination of events, I guess you could say, between what has already happened in the past that Hashem recounts, reminding us, you see, this is what I've already done. This can happen again. Don't think that it was just something from the past. This is what will happen very soon when Hashem judges the nations of the world. Pasuk Bet is in some ways a continuation. So, again, this can be said about David, this can be said about Mashiach, about the future. The staff of your strength, Hashem will send from Tzion. So there's some reference here being made to Tzion, that some great miracles will occur in Yerushalayim very soon. The strength of Hashem will be noticeable from Tzion. Something will develop from that area of the world. So expect action to be centered around Yerushalayim. That is the meaning Mateo Zecha. When we talk about the staff, what significance does a staff have? Well, staff has to do with rulership. But it also recalls the staff of Moshe. In that staff of Moshe, Nignaz, it has been hidden underneath the Temple Mount along with the Ark and several other items, and it will be revealed. Mashiach will take that staff, a staff with which miracles were performed. And several individuals had that staff. So there's some reference being made to a staff, the staff of Moshe, eventually the staff of Mashiach. But here in general, Mateh Uzecha, the staff of your strength, which means the rulership of Hashem over the world, that strength will come out from Tzion. It will become revealed to everyone. Redeh bekerev oivecha. So, to rule amid your enemies, even though they were your enemies until now, in the end, they will be ruled by that staff, by the strength that will come out from Tzion. Why mention Tzion? It's not only because the future is centered around Tzion. We know that from many prophecies, but also because when it says, Mateu Zecha Yishlach Hashem Tzion, the nations of the world will realize that this is not just the Israeli Air Force, the Israeli army. This is not human. The victory will be from Hashem. Yishlach Hashem, Hashem will send it. It will just be centered around Tzion. Pasuk Gimel. This one is really, I can say, cryptic. It's very difficult to follow, even though the words are pretty simple. What exactly is he talking about? Verse Gimel 3. Amecha nedavot beyom chilecha behadrei kodesh mirechem mishchar lecha tal yadutecha. I assure you, anyone, even if he knows perfect Hebrew, will not be able to make sense out of this pasuk without looking through the commentaries. And even if he looks through the commentaries, he will be a little bit confused. There's more than one explanation. What exactly is going on over here? So let's first translate the verse. Gimel. Your people will come willingly. Okay, that's one translation. On the day of Chilecha. Chilecha is your battle, your campaign, when you do war. Behadrei Kodesh, because of your splendid sanctity, holiness. Mirechem Yishchar, from when you emerged from the womb. Rechem is the womb. Mishchar means when you emerged. Perhaps you can add the words early on. That is what the womb is, when you were still young, from the very beginning. Lecha tal yaldutecha. You still possess the dew of your youth. Anybody want to attempt to figure this one out? It's not an easy one. But, again, as we were saying before, if this is describing Abraham, it makes some sense. Because why is Abraham so great? Why is he so special? That he is really our forefather. Even though from him come various nations, U'av hamon goyim, as the Torah says, you will be a father to many nations, including Ishmael. Still, it is from him that the Jewish people emerge and develop through the son Yitzchak. So there's something special about him. Monotheism is begun with him. He discovers that there's one God after many, many years where the nations of the world are just worshiping idols. Even though he's not so far removed from creation. At some point there was clarity that there's only one God, that God created the world. People were aware that there was a big flood not too long before Abraham. But as everything else, many things that happen, even though they appear to be miraculous, can be subject to interpretation. Oh, it's Mother Nature. So people, of course, were misled, confused, and led to believe in all kinds of things. Abraham discovers, Abraham must have some good qualities that he allows himself to further investigate. He wants to know the truth. But it's not just about the truth, it's about his nedavot. So here the word nedavot is not just willingly, as the translation would say, but also his kindness. Avraham Avinu is known for his chesed. He's the pillar of kindness. We learn kindness from him. He was kind not just in helping people, but in bringing them under Kanfei HaShekhinah, converting them, convincing them, encouraging them. So that is a tremendous chut. So we see in Avraham Avinu his kindness. And we also see his mesirut nefesh, his self-sacrifice, his willingness to be thrown into the kivshan ha'esh, into the furnace of fire. If you remember the Midrash, where he was being threatened, either you worship the idols or we'll throw you into the furnace of fire, and he was miraculously saved. So all of this, kindness and mesirut nefesh b'yom chilecha, in other words, when you did battle, perhaps you can say battle against Avodah Zarah, that was behadrei kodesh merechem mishchar. That was from early on, from the very, very beginning. You showed it, hadrei kodesh, you showed that sanctity, that willingness, that belief in Hashem, in that which is holy. Merechem, early on, from when you were a child, when you were young, mishchar, from the very, very beginning. Therefore, perhaps the last words could be referring to lechat tal yaldutecha, that all the dew, what is dew? Dew brings blessing. Dew is something beneficial for the world. That tal yaldutecha of your early childhood would stand forever. Your merit will be around for the future generations. It will be like the dew of blessing. You're a blessing for the future. So, here he's describing to us the greatness of Abraham, where the Jewish people came from, how his zechut stands for us, and that is why he began with the words Shev Limini, that Hashem is saying, I'm going to sit him next to me, on my right hand side. Could be. Again, this is just one explanation, and there are others, but I think that this fits in very well with the pasuk, especially with the very beginning, in that Hashem is telling us that remember the miracles that I've done in the past with Abraham, and I will continue to do so for you in his merit. Verse Dalet. Nishba Adonai v'lo yinachem ata kohen le'olam al divrati malki tzedek. Another one of those verses that, who is he talking about over here? Hashem swore, and when he swears, he will not change his mind and he will not regret. You shall be priest forever. Ta kohen le'olam. Al divrati malki tzedek, just as Malki Tzedek was. Who's Malki Tzedek? Also mentioned in the Torah. Remember, during the time of Abraham Avinu, he was the Kohen. He was considered the priest. Hashem made him the priest. This is Shem, the son of Noah, called Malki Tzedek. So you will be just like him. I promise to you the priesthood. What priesthood? There are no priests yet. Kohanim is only later on. Yes, but the concept of priest existed. We have priests amongst the Jewish people because of the various categories or classifications, how the Jewish people are divided into groups and tribes. And of course the priests get certain priestly gifts, sort of the Leviim. Priest in itself is a leader, a religious leader, a teacher. Malki Tzedek was a teacher. Abraham learned in his school. So you are the continuation. It is given over to you. Melchizedek is actually handing over to you the priesthood. And Hashem swore. In other words, since Hashem swore, it's a promise, He won't change His mind. It will remain with Abraham. Why say swearing? Why is there a need for that? Hashem has to swear. There's a need for Hashem taking an oath to remind us that even if though in the future the children, the descendants of Abraham may not behave themselves, and you may think they may not in any way be connected anymore to their forefather, the priesthood may not continue with them as teachers. No, Hashem swore it will remain with Abraham and remain with his seed through Yitzchak, not through Ishmael, because the main seed of Abraham, the Torah says, is Yitzchak, through his wife, his real wife, Sarah. So this is an important point because the Jewish nation is emerging. It's beginning with Abraham, following with Yitzchak, and then with Yaakov. Verse 5. Adonai al yaminecha, see once again the right. Hashem is at your right. Mahatz b'yom apo melachim. He has crushed kings on the day of his fury. Okay, so one may recall the very first pasuk, where there was some description about the battle that occurred in the past with kings. Is he talking about those kings? I wouldn't say so, because why repeat it again? That is why I believe that the other opinion that says that this, at least the very last Pesukim, describes the end of days, makes some sense. Since it does relate to the past, remember what Hashem did in the past? He will do so again in the future. Remember the miracles, how He crushed kings, how Abraham, with very few people, not too much help, but with Hashem's help, of course, was able to defeat more powerful kings. Hashem is on your right. There was chesed, kindness. Kindness means what? Even with those who don't deserve it. Hashem will be there for you. Mahatz b'yom apo melachim. So here he says mahatz, which appears to be in the past tense. He already did it. He has crushed kings on the day of his fury. That's fine. You could say that this is the past. He has done so in the past, in more than one case. But look at the next verse, Pasuk Vav. This is in the future tense. That same Hashem who did so in the past, Yadin Bagoyim, He will render judgment upon the nations, Maleh Geviyot, and there will be many corpses. Mahatz Rosh al Eretz Rabbah, He will crush heads over the vast land. So here he's talking about the future, clearly. And the Zohar describes this as all those kings that caused tremendous trouble to the Jews, massacred them, persecuted them. They will be brought in a reincarnation, and there will be revenge from them. They will be crushed. And this crushing will be al Eretz Rabbah, according to one interpretation, the words al Eretz Rabbah, over a vast land, over a vast area. In other words, this will be lots and lots of corpses, which, by the way, other prophecies describe as well. So it's interesting how Tehilim, people think it's not a book of prophecies, but it does contain prophecies. It's clear. Look what he's saying. He's talking about the future. And he's not saying in vague terms. He's actually saying this is what's going to happen. He's telling this to people who may have lost hope. No. Those who persecute you, those who have killed you, hurt you, they will one day pay. As the Zohar describes, Hashem has, so to say, a garment. And on that garment are all the geviyot, all the victims. This word geviyot, corpses, can be referring, as the Zohar says, to the victims of the Inquisition, of the Crusades, killed. People were killed in the Holocaust. Babies were crushed during the Holocaust. Whatever happened to them? All those victims, their names, as I explained, I think, last week, they are imprinted in blood in that garment, so to say, of Hashem. So He does not forget. We may forget, but He does not forget. There will come a day of judgment when He will crush many, many corpses. The last pasuk, Zayin, number 7, is also interesting. It's difficult to figure out what he's talking about, but I'm assuming that the context is somewhat related to the end of days. He will drink from the stream on the way, so will hold his head high. Doesn't seem to be related. Just the words alone doesn't fit in. What does drinking from a stream have to do with crushing the enemy? Unless he's, of course, going back to something he said before. But it doesn't appear to fit in. So, if you analyze the words carefully, and if you think about it, you may be able to figure it out on your own. What comes to mind when we say, if we've been talking about armies now, or lots of people, Minachal baderech ishteh, he will drink from the stream on the way, and so will hold his head high. I believe, in my humble opinion, that this is a description of why this enemy is getting hit over their head, why they're being punished so severely. We're talking about lots of corpses here, not just a few. In the past, this same enemy had the gall, had the chutzpah, wanted to show off how great he is, how powerful he is, with his large army, so large and vast that manachal baderech ishteh. This is a description that he drinks from the stream of the way. It's like he drinks all the water. There's so many soldiers that the water is gone by the time they pass the river. This type of a description is seen elsewhere as well. It's a description of many, many soldiers. Large army that they just drank all the water there was. Al ken yarim roshem, because there were so many, therefore they raised their head, or they held it high, meaning that they were arrogant. They were so proud of themselves. They were so confident. Oh yes, you thought of yourself as so confident because you have such a large army. You're going to see what's going to happen to that large army soon. It's going to disappear. Just like with the famous incident of Sancheriv. He says, for me, to conquer Yerushalayim is no big deal. And that night, an angel came out and killed them all. They didn't wake up the following morning. Sancheriv, of course, realized that there was nothing for him to do anymore. That was a miracle. A miracle. Hundreds of thousands, dead just like that. This can happen at any time. So, Al Ken Yarim Rosh, the enemy in the past, that's what they did. They held their head high, which is a description of arrogance and pride. So it could be, this is one explanation as to why this will be happening to them. Not only because of the tzaddikim, the many righteous people that they killed, and Hashem does not forget, but you wonder who they were and why they're going to get such a terrible punishment. It's because they thought that their vast numbers will be able to win them any war. And the end Hashem says, no, it's up to me who wins a war. Alright, chapter 111. 111, the Segula, is very similar to 110, but it's a little bit different. If you want to have friends. In 110, it was more to make peace with the enemy. You don't want to do any battle, you want to have peace. In 111, it's that you should have more friends. That your friends should increase. Okay. Very interesting perek. Very powerful perek. Because in this chapter, David HaMelech encourages the Jewish people to not lose hope in thinking that perhaps there's no hashgacha, there's no divine providence. Divine providence is something that always was and always will be, except that sometimes that divine providence is concealed, as we call it, Ester Panim. And therefore, he reminds us of the importance of thanking Hashem at all times, praising Hashem, because that's what it does to us. The praising and the thanking reminds us we're dependent on Him. He's still around. He listens to us. Hallelujah. So hallelujah, who is he talking? To us. Praise Hashem. And then he tells us, you know why you should praise Hashem? Because I will do so too in a very, very powerful way. Odeh Hashem b'chol levav besod yesharim ve'ida. I will give thanks to Hashem with all my heart. Why have to tell us with all my heart? Also, very important, because a lot of people do thank Hashem, but it's not with all their heart. They just say words. Words are cheap. I will do so with all my heart. I really will mean it. Besod Yesharim Ve'ida, and I will do so in the council of the upright in the congregation. Also, the words Besod Yesharim Ve'ida is a little bit unclear. What does it mean in the council? So, this chapter, 111, is somewhat related to chapter 112. And if you look at the words carefully of 111, you will notice that it's based on the Aleph bit, the entire Aleph bit, the ABC of Hebrew. How? Look at the word Odeh, it begins with an Aleph. Bechol, Levav, Besod Yesharim, you have the Bet. Then you have Gedolim, you have Gimel. Derushim, Daled, Hod Vadar, Hey. Follow me? You have the entire Aleph bit. So here the word Besod not only means in the council of the upright, which means amongst the wise, amongst the learned, that he will thank because they appreciate what it means to thank God. As we've explained before, you don't just want to say thank you amongst people who don't understand what a miracle is all about. Here, he's also expressing to us the sod, the secrets. There is certain secrets that are embedded in this chapter. And these secrets are related to chapter 112, which we'll do with Hashem next week. Many, many secrets in this chapter. And what is this all about? What are we going to be talking about now? We're going to be talking about the praise, the greatness of a tzaddik, of a good man. The man who's just and upright, who does things right. What will he gain in this world? What will he gain in the world to come? And, of course, as we describe this man, we also want to know how to become such an individual. What will it take to be a Yesharim, I guess, a person who's upright? Pasuk Bet. Gedolim ma'aseh Adonai derushim lechol chefsehem. Great are the works of Hashem. And even though they're so great, you may think, well, I can't figure them out. They're not accessible to me. I can't perhaps learn about it. No. You should know, as great as the works of Hashem are in this world, they're derushim lechol chefsehem. They're available to all who desire them. This has several interpretations as well. One simple idea behind these words is, as great as the handiworks of Hashem are, they're accessible, meaning you could contemplate them. You may not be able to figure it all out. It's complex. But they are accessible, meaning that you can ponder, you can analyze them, and you can therefore become so impressed by it to gain on your own emunah, faith in Hashem. So don't come up with an excuse, oh, God is so far removed from me, it's so complex, this universe and creation, it's beyond human comprehension. Yes, it is beyond human comprehension, but it's derushim lechol chefsehem. If you desire to know, you could know whatever it is, whatever we can know, according to our limited minds. Very important point here, very important idea, that derushim lechol chefsehem. Anyone who truly desires to know Hashem, Hashem is accessible. This could also be talking about the Torah, not just creation. Maaseh Hashem is the Torah. No one should say, oh, I'm not smart enough to know Torah. It's not accessible. Derushim lechol chefsehem, it is available to all those who seek it. Those, therefore, that want to immerse themselves in the Torah, that want to learn the Torah, it is available for them. As we will see from the next pasuk, these works of Hashem are so great that depending on how much time you invest in it, you will see the beauty and the greatness in them. Gedolim ma'aseh Hashem. There are obviously many, many things that we will never know. But the more you invest your time and effort to see all that beauty, you will see a lot. There's a lot of chokhmah, there's a lot of wisdom and beauty in the works of Hashem. And the more you analyze the works of Hashem, the more you will see the chokhmah, the wisdom of Hashem in creation, the harmony, the beauty. It's incredible. And today, with technology, we see more and more. But it takes time to look at it, to analyze it. And that is why scientists, in some ways, are going to be questioned in the upper world. You guys had the advantage of seeing up close the workings of Hashem. Why didn't you draw the obvious conclusion? Could this have happened by itself? Come on. Where is your common sense and logic? So the more one sees all that, the more he should see all that chokhmah, all that wisdom of Hashem. There's another idea, however, over here behind the words Gedolim Asya Hashem. Gedolim, what does it mean that they are so great? If you look at everything in creation as much as one can see, you will notice perhaps that there's nothing that was created levatala, nothing that was created for no reason whatsoever. Everything serves a purpose. That's the famous example with David HaMelech with the spider. Hashem, what do you need spiders for? So there's a reason for cockroaches too. I know the women don't like to see a cockroach, or a mouse. Lice, what good is lice? But I guess it serves as food for some other bug. And that bug serves as food for some bigger bug. There needs to be food. So there's a need for everything. And not only is there a need, as we will see in Pasuk Gimel, Hod ve'adar pa'olo v'tzidkato medada. There's tremendous beauty and majesty, splendor in Hashem's work. What does that tell us? It's so beautifully designed. Look at everything, how Hashem designed it. Did you ever see the spider web? How it designs a web? It's incredible. Well, that's a little creature of Hashem. Look at what man does in building his planes and space capsules and all kinds of technological wonders. Man does it. And what does Hashem do? So, Hod ve'adar, all his workings, all his doings are full of beauty, splendor, and design. But look at the words that follow. V'tzidkato omedet la'ad. So majesty and splendor are his work, and his righteousness endures forever. You could say that endures forever is talking about his workings. It's not like what we make that may not last forever. What Hashem made, omedet la'ad, it endures forever. Not only that, if Hashem would remove his presence from anything in creation, it would cease to exist. And that is what we say in our prayer book, Hashem renews his creation every day on a daily basis. He renews that creation. He's always there. If he would remove himself, it would stop. So that is why things can endure. Not like some scientists want to claim, the sun will stop after a certain amount of years. It will run out of fuel. Hashem created something. His intent was that it should last forever. So that is one interpretation. Since we're talking about the creation, his doings, his workings, that endures forever. Also, tzidkato, his righteousness. It's talking about the reward, what he promised the tzaddikim, the righteous. Even though they may not see any benefit from what they're doing in this world, tzidkato omedet la'ad, his righteousness will endure forever. Because the more important world is the world to come, not this world. Here we're working. We're accumulating merits. Our reward will be based on what we've accomplished in this life. So therefore, the main tzidkut, the main righteousness, the main reward is omedet la'ad, is for eternity, which is the world to come. Pasuk Dalet. Zecher asa leniflotav chanun rachum Adonai. Very interesting pasuk that also has at least two interpretations. He established a memorial, zecher, a reminder, remembrance, to his niflotav, for his wonders. Chanun v'rachum Hashem, for Hashem is gracious and compassionate. The simple understanding of these words is, what zecher did Hashem make of the past niflaot? That we have holidays, that we have the Shabbat. When we celebrate, commemorate certain holidays, it reminds us of the past. It reminds us of Hashem's miracles. It reminds us how Hashem is Chanun v'Rachum, how He was compassionate in the past, and so He is now, even though we may not see it. But we have those reminders when we need those reminders. So that's what He's telling us. You see? Look, He did you a favor. He put into the Torah a zecher, a memorial, to remember His niflaot in the past. Remember, I took you out of Egypt. Remember, I fed you man. I took care of you in the desert. Chanun v'Rachum Hashem. I'm compassionate after all. I'm gracious. Zecher HaSal Niflotav, however, from a scientific standpoint, refers to the following. Hashem wanted the world to have some remembrance of the past. Today a lot of people claim, there was no Mabul. There was no such a thing as a flood. Show me Noach's Teva. Show me, where is it? So, there is something left over from the Teva, from the Ark of Noach. There have been many, many claims, many, many reports. Some say not true, yes true, partially true. So, I don't have too much information as to which report is valid or not, and what exactly they discovered. But I do believe there's something out there. Maybe they even haven't gotten to it yet. During the time of Haman, we know that the Teva still existed because the Midrash says that in order to hang Mordechai, Haman needed to get a very, very long piece of plank of wood. Where is he going to get it from? 50 amot. That kind of a size, plank of wood, from the Tevat Noach. He asked one of his sons, who actually was in charge of that region where the Teva landed, to fetch him that piece of wood. So we know from our sources that for a while at least, a good part of the Teva was there. Obviously a lot of years went by, some of it maybe deteriorated, maybe there's very, very little left, but there's something there. And if, I guess, scientists would really investigate it properly, maybe they will find. So this is one explanation for Zecher HaSal Niflotav. Hashem did want that there should be a Zecher. It's in Senet Aman. Remember the flask of man that was put away for a while? Yirmiyahu, the prophet even, he and others saw it and used it to prove to the Jews, you see, Hashem takes care of your livelihood, your parnasah, as He did for your forefathers. Here, look at this souvenir of man in this flask. Zecher HaSal Niflotav. There's a Zecher for the past. What else? You forgot about the pillar of salt. If you go to the area of Sdom, Yamamelech, the Dead Sea, there's supposed to be a pillar of salt. And they say that's Eshet Lot, the wife of Lot, who became a pillar of salt when she looked back to see what was going on when Hashem was destroying the city. She was told not to. So there may be all kinds of mounds of salt there, and it's maybe difficult to prove scientifically or otherwise which one is her. They say that you can still see her. Anyway, it's part of our tradition that it is there. There's something there that is a zecher, remembrance of that niflaot, of that miracle that happened in the past. So all of this is Hashem's compassion, Hashem's graciousness to us, that He wants our faith to always be strong, and He has done all kinds of things to make sure that we stay firm in our faith. Pasuk Hey. Teref natan li re'av yizkor le'olam berito. So you can say that this is somewhat of a continuation of the words Chanun v'Rachum. Teref means here sustenance. He gave food or sustenance to those who fear Him. Yizkor le'olam berito. He remembered His covenant always. What does that have to do with anything? His covenant, and He provides food or sustenance to those who fear Him. Simple meaning is, who did He provide sustenance or food for? The Jews, when they left Egypt for 40 years, they had manna. He's talking about niflaot. He's talking about, after all, about wonders of the past. You see, Hashem did so in the past. He can continue to do so today. He hasn't changed. God is the same God. But he did so lire'av, to those who fear him. But why use the word teref? There are some commentaries that ask this question. Why use the word teref to describe sustenance or food? Teref is not such a good word. At least doesn't sound like it's such a nice word, because it reminds us of terefa, something which you're not allowed to eat. Something which is harsh, painful. And according to some commentators, the reason why this word is associated here with food, because sometimes sustenance, livelihood, can be painful. Aparnasa lo megi'a bikalut, it doesn't come easily to people, especially lire'av, those who fear him. But why not? Yizkor le'olam berito. Because in the end, Hashem says, I will provide for you your share in the world to come. So here, the struggle that you have, the pain that you have in acquiring that food, is for your benefit, so that you should acquire your shlemut, your completeness that you need to atone for any sins. So teref comes about sometimes difficult, the sustenance. But in the end, he remembered his covenant always. What covenant? What he promised you. What did he promise? That he will give you what's coming to you in the world to come. Or you could say that this is talking again about Abraham, as we said in the first chapter. He had already promised or made a covenant with Abraham. When your children leave Egypt, they're going to come out with a chush gadol. They're going to come out with a tremendous possession, even though the real possession is the Torah. He was also reassuring Abraham, I'll take care of them. Teref, I will take care of them, I will provide for them. Yizkor le'olam berito, as he recalls the covenant that he made, the promise that he made to Abraham. Why not give the righteous an easy time with sustenance? Let them have the two worlds. So the simple explanation for that is Hashem doesn't want that the righteous should be confused and misled. You give them too much money, too much comfort, they're going to forget what their real mission is. So not everyone goes through a painful, difficult time. There's reasons for why that individual goes and not someone else. But in general, you don't want to confuse the righteous by making it easy for them and let them think, oh, this is the real life. This is where we're going to be. This is where we have to invest our time and efforts. No. It's in the observance of the mitzvot. It's in the learning of the Torah, because your real share is in the world to come, not here. Pasuk Vav. He has declared the power of his deeds to his people, to give them the inheritance of nations. This is a very powerful pasuk, especially because of the first word, koach. Koach means power. But if you look at the two letters that make up this word, it's kaf and chet, 28. 28 letters. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim et haaretz. Hashem created the world with letters. And Betzalel, who was in charge of making the tabernacle, the Mishkan, he knew ech letzaref ta'otiyot, how to combine various combinations and permutations of letters to form, I don't want to say to create because he's a human being, to form all kinds of things that would have been difficult for the average human being to do. All of that from the koach, that power that Hashem declared. When he created the world. But this power, the verse over here says, he told his nation, or he declared to his people. When did he do so? When he gave them the Torah. What did he say? What did he declare in that Torah? That I created the world, and I'm the one that is giving you the land. To give them the inheritance of nations. Because otherwise people are going to say, you robbed us of this land. Who said it was yours? Go back to Europe, as some of them are saying, from where you came from. But we were here. God, who created the world, gave it to us. He said so in the book, in the Torah. So, Koach Ma'asav Yigid Le'amo is one of the main interpretations of these words. Hashem is revealing to us in the very beginning, when He's creating the world, how He's doing it, why He's doing it, somewhat why he's doing it. I mean, he doesn't get into the details of what life is all about necessarily, but somewhat he's getting into some details, including the fact that this land will belong to you, I will eventually give it to you. So no one should come and say that you stole it from them. That this is nahla of the Jewish people, that this is your inheritance. But it says the word koach. Koach can also be referring the power here to the way the Jewish people inherited the land. In the end, they fought for it. They waged battle. There were several wars. Hashem could have given them another country without wars, without any problems or any difficulties. He's giving them this land through struggle, battle, to show His koach. You see, you would not have been able to do this on your own. You want to see how I help you? You're going to defeat the most powerful nations. In the process of inheriting this land, you're going to go through battles, and you're going to win. Now, obviously, we didn't win all battles in the future. We've had problems with our neighbors, but that is because of the sins. But initially, Hashem says, I want you to see my koach. I want you to see that it's from me, not from you. So, koach masav yigid le'amo, He reveals to the nation His power in the process of giving them the land. That's another interpretation. Pasuk Zayin. Ma'aseh yadav emet u'mishpat ne'emanim kol pikudav. The works of His hands are true and just, all His mandates are faithful. Well, this is a very important verse, very important to our emunah, in reminding us that Hashem is truth. He's all about truth and justice. And even though we don't understand certain things, or a lot of things, why He does certain things, ne'emanim kol pikudav, His mandates are faithful. In other words, you can trust Him, because we don't understand why certain things happen. So everything about Hashem, everything about that Torah that He gave us is just and truth. Why is this important? Not only to remind us that the Torah is the emet, it's not only that. A human being can come up with a code of law, a constitution, very, very nice, but it's man-made. They could be wrong in their assessment, in the way they formulated the law. Some laws, as you know, that were formulated back then, years ago, not everybody wants to live by them today. If they can, they would make amendments to the American Constitution to change everything. They don't even want to see in God we trust in the currency, some people. This is not Maaseh Hashem. Maaseh Hashem, Maaseh Yadav, Emet u'mishpat forever. It's always Emet u'mishpat. There's no changes necessary. It's always correct. His mandates are faithful. Very important point. Look at the difference between what we have and what everybody else has. Obviously, you're going to tell me that some people don't believe that this is from Hashem, that this is man-made. Well, you have to have them sit down in some sort of seminar where in a couple of days, not just in 1 hour or two, they can be convinced, if they want to be convinced, of the truth of the Torah. It's possible. You have to be wanting to be convinced. Someone doesn't want to be convinced, he already made up his mind, nothing will help. One who has an open mind can be convinced of the truths of the Torah. Look at the next pasuk, pasuk chet, also very interesting. Semuchim la'ad le'olam. He's basically telling us that they are steadfast forever and ever, which we just said. Since this is the truth, it doesn't change. Some might claim, okay, fine, I believe you. This is the truth. But this was in the past. Oh, right now it's okay to make changes. Whoever told you that? No, semuchim la'ad le'olam. They are steadfast forever and ever, not to be changed. The Torah says so clearly. You can't change it, you can't add to it, you can't detract from it. Asuyim be'emet ve'yashar. For they are made with truth and uprightness. This is not just something that was composed by a human being or by a committee, like some people want to say. No, be'emet ve'yashar. They are made with truth and uprightness. They're always applicable in every generation. Even though, of course, certain things do not apply to it because we don't have the Beit HaMikdash. That's because we don't have the temple. And many mitzvot apply to the temple. But the Torah, as a guide for life, is always going to be a guide for life, telling us what is right and what is wrong. That did not change. But look at the word semuchim. Semuchim means steadfast, but it also means adjacent. Samuch. There's a beautiful book by Rabbi Eliyahu Cohen, the famous author of many, many books, including the Shevet Musar. He put together a book called Smuchim La'ad on the Torah, where he explains the connection between every single pasuk to the next one. Why is this pasuk next to this one? Because when you look at many, many pasukim, there doesn't appear to be a connection. I mean, sometimes there is. It's obviously talking about some episode in the Torah or certain mitzvot that are related, but sometimes you don't see a connection. And in this book that he put together, he explains the semichut. What's the connection between the two pasukim? Why does one follow the other? Very interesting book. And that's what it's talking about over here. The Torah doesn't contain vowels. The written Torah. Well, we received the vowels in the Torah Sheba'al Peh, the oral word. We received many, many details in the oral word. So, we also have explanations as to why certain things do not appear in order. En mukdam u'meuchar Torah, the rabbis tell us, it is not all of the Torah is in a certain order that fits with history that we can explain. Because it's not always so. We may find certain events occurring much later, mentioned earlier. Those mentioned earlier that really occurred later. So, there's a reason why the Torah was written in such a way. And that the Kabbalah explains a little bit. So, Semuchim La'ad, the connection between the various words, the Pesukim, is all, of course, something that there's a reason for it, that we may not be aware of it, but we shouldn't assume that it's just, there because it was put together by some human being and therefore he made a mistake. Like some want to claim, it's different authors, different style. No. Semuchim la'ad le'olam, they're steadfast, they're continuous, there's a reason for that order. Because asuyim be'emet yashar, because they are, after all, made with truth and uprightness. Last two verses. Pedut shalach le'amot siva le'olam berito kadosh v'nora shemo. He sent redemption to his people by commanding his covenant forever. Holy and awesome is his name. Kadosh v'nora shemo. That's more or less the translation. So, Pedut is redemption. Which redemption are we talking about here? If you look at the verse, you will see it's divided into three parts. So there are three redemptions besides Egypt. Because Pedut Shalach Le'amo, a redemption that he sent to his people. Which one are we talking about after Egypt? From Babel, from Babylonia, coming back to rebuild the second temple. That's called a Pedut. It's not called Geulah over here. They are redeemed in a different way. They're being restored back to the land of Israel. The Beit HaMikdash is being rebuilt. Look at the next words. Tziva le'olam berito, by commanding his covenant forever. That's referring to the redemption from the Greeks. Because of the word berit. They wanted to detach us from our covenant. They want us to stop observing certain mitzvot. So there's an insinuation in the word berit referring to that redemption. You see what Hashem has done for you in the past? And this is all being said so many years before. Kadosh v'nora shemo. And obviously, Hashem's name is holy and will be in the eyes of the whole world when the final Geulah comes about, the final redemption. So the last words, Kadosh v'nora shemo, refers to the last redemption. Otherwise, besides talking about the redemption, there's this emphasis over here about how the main reason we left Egypt is Kadosh v'nora shemo. Because Hashem is holy, He wants us to be holy. How do we become holy? By observance of Torah mitzvot. It's not just that Hashem says, okay, I'll let you go, you're on your own. No, the whole idea of Pedut Shalach Le'amo, why He's redeeming us to begin with, is because of the Berito, because of the covenant, Kadosh v'nora shemo. He's holy and He wants us to be like Him. Holy. So it is through the Torah that we become a nation. Without the Torah, we're not a nation. Reshit Chochma Yirat Adonai Sechel Tov Lechol Osehem Tilato Omedet Lahad. Very famous verse. That is how he finishes the chapter. Verse 10. The beginning of wisdom is fear of Hashem. A person can be very wise, very knowledgeable, but without the fear of God, he's missing a lot. How could he not have that detail, that piece of information? Reshit Chochma, the beginning of wisdom is fear. It will make a difference. The rabbis tell us, whoever's fear of God comes before his wisdom, that chokhmah, that which he will learn, will serve him in a very positive way. It will contribute to his spiritual formation. It will be beneficial to him. Whoever's chokhmah is before his yirat chet, his wisdom is there before, he only picks up yirat chet later on. In chokhmato became that chokhmah will not really help him so much. It doesn't have a kiyum. It will not be as entrenched and guide him in the same way if he had the fear of God earlier on. Earlier on, as I've explained before, means earlier on in life. The younger the better. We first instill in the child the fear of God. And earlier on means in priority, in importance. The fear of God is more important than anything else. But it says also as follows. So the beginning of wisdom is fear of the Lord. Sound wisdom, sechel tov lechol osehem, for all who practice it. It's not enough to believe. Oh, I believe in God. No. Judaism requires deeds. You need to act. You need to perform. So it's sound wisdom. What is it for, that wisdom? It's sound wisdom lechol osehem. Sound wisdom meaning that you will benefit from it in this world too. It will help you. Tehilato omedet lahad. However, his praise endures forever. We may do it here, but in the end, that praise of Hashem, we will receive reward for it in the afterlife. So, from following the Torah Mitzvah, we gain in this world and we gain in the afterlife. This, in the end, explains somewhat the whole beauty, the whole importance of the expression Naaseh v'nishma that the Jewish people get so much credit for when we receive the Torah. When we were about to receive the Torah, we were being asked, do you want it? Are you sure? You know, when you take out a loan, you have 3 days, I think, to rescind. You sure you want the loan? You can cancel it. Maybe you changed your mind, maybe you don't want it. We also had a chance. We said, no. Not only did we go along with it, Naaseh v'nishma, we said we will do, and then we will listen. What's so special about that? Because we said Naaseh first. We will do. How could you do it without even knowing what it says? We're so convinced. We have no doubts whatsoever. It's so clear to us that Hashem is one, that this is the Emet. That Naaseh shows Yirat Shamayim. That shows the fear of heaven. It shows that the fear of heaven was there even before the deeds. It doesn't minimize the deeds. The deeds are very important, we just said. Lechol osehem. Yes, but make sure that you're prepared to accept this, even if you don't fully understand it. Because you have the fear of Hashem that you have, that emunah. A lot of people want to first understand. I don't understand. Once I understand and it makes sense to me, I will accept it and I will commit to it. That may never happen. It may take you years before you can understand anything. It's just an excuse. Yirat Shamayim is number one. And Yirat Shamayim is not something so easy, especially if you don't start up with it, if you didn't begin with it early on. That is why it's incumbent upon parents to instill it in their children as early as possible. Otherwise, for an adult, a Russian Jew, for example, who grew up for 55, 60 years under communist rule where he was completely deprived of Judaism, to pick up Judaism now in Israel is tough. And many of them have a hard time. They were brainwashed. Obviously, those who were spoon-fed have it easy, but don't think that it's automatic just because it was easy. They still have their struggles. People who were spoon-fed that God is one and this is the truth also have their struggles in life. That each one has an evil inclination. Each one has a challenge. Free will is not easy. Yes, of course we have free will, but along with the free will comes an evil inclination, comes challenges. What if he's struggling? What if somebody's ill in the family? What if he went through the Holocaust? Even though he had the Yirat Shamayim. Just that the Yirat Shamayim helps. Why does Yirat Shamayim help? The best way to understand it is like the roots of a tree. If you have very, very deep roots and there's a storm, then there's a chance that that tree will hold. If the root system is shallow, even a small wind can knock it down. The Holocaust was a very powerful storm. Many unknowns, many questions. It was puzzling. Where was God, they asked. A lot of people lost their faith. It's only because, and now we're not judging them, but we're just trying to explain a little bit, maybe their roots were shallow. They didn't see parents who were so loyal and devoted no matter what the cost. Their fear of heaven was not so much there. They said it was, but it wasn't. It has to be like David HaMelech said before, Bechol leva, with all their heart. And that is why, this is how he chooses to end the chapter. The Reshit Chokhmah. You really want to learn the Torah, you want to know a lot about it, don't forget that the very beginning of it is the fear of Hashem.